let's just get into it. I'm Charles Renton with my review WWE Payback 2023. And my, oh my, what a hell of a goddamn cage match that was. Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, just opening up the floodgates. My goddamn goodness. It wasn't bloody, but it was hard hitting. These two women, even though the feud was here and there, and we did get woof woof bitch, and we got a few good things, it also felt like it was a little long in the poot. I think that's how that saying goes. But that being said, man, what a great goddamn cage match. To send the crowd home, it was the opening, and then the rest of the show happened. And while I appreciate the streamlined, approach to these cards, 6 matches and everything, no 6-match card should go 3.5 hours with at least half the matches going twice as long as they needed to. They could have easily cut a couple of these matches down, even cutting 5 minutes out of each match. Cut a few of the video packages down and the ads and stuff like that. Cut a few of those things down, even though you do have to get that sweet, sweet sponsorship dollar bill, y'all. And just figure out a way to maybe, include a couple other matches and have some feuds going and everything. You can do that, and you can still make the show only about 3 hours and 10 minutes, and it'll flow by better. So that being said, Kayla, Jackie, Wade Barrett, and unfortunately what's left of Booker T was on there, as well as Rosenberg. And anytime Booker T looks like he's going to talk, even start to talk, I hit mute. Because I respect Booker T as far as being one half of one of the greatest tag teams that I've ever seen, Harlem Heat. But he makes no sense. He ruins NXT commentary. Rosenberg was also there. And we just basically move on from that. They did show packages for, Drew and Asuka. That was cool. I don't really understand, however, why the voiceover opening was done by a phone sex operator, but nevertheless, as the cage lowers, we go to another video package. I get it. Not everybody watches the weekly shows. Some only tune in for the big, premium live events. But at the same goddamn time, had to be better ways to fill in the gaps on this. So the only way to win is by pinfall, submission, or escaping the cage. Or if, maybe my opponent's covered in the blood of the new blood, my God, or they just evaporated. And I guess I could just win. I could pin their remnants. I could do something. Or they fell asleep. Like they were the bad translation in Metal Gear Solid for the NES. I feel asleep. The escaping the cage thing is cool at times. I don't really think they need to have it happen all the time. Because pinfall submission, it would be more decisive. That being said, Becky and Trish make their entrances. Tiffany was in the front row. Becky and Trish. And yes, been lukewarm on some aspects of this feud. But that being said, steel cage match, you want to have a hot opening. You want to have pretty much one of the best openers that WWE's had all year, maybe in the last couple years. This is the way to do it. They hit each other hard. They hit each other into the wall. Trish got pounded in the face repeatedly by Becky. Becky just constantly fisting Trish repeatedly. Fisting, and Trish just taking Becky's fisting constantly. And then they said, and Trish has an opening. I'm just going to ignore that, even though I technically didn't. Widow's Peak by Trish. Twist of Fate by Becky. And could you imagine if Lita tried to be in this match? She would have basically just, her hip would have turned to mulch when she tried to run the ropes. So, Stratusfaction for 2, a big Super Bulldog Stratusfaction variation for 2, and then up on the cage, and then Trish is just hanging there, and it's a real good thing that Becky was there, because she was hanging upside down, and that wouldn't have gone all that well, or whatever, and you really don't want Canadians hanging upside down, or whatever, especially from their Bowflex. Why am I like this? He wasn't hanging upside down. Let's move on. So, there was a nice superplex spot. They were cooking, as the kids say, I believe. We got a manhandle slam, countered. We got a lot of really good stuff going on. And then suddenly Zoe shows up trying to yank on Trish. Trish caught in the middle of being pulled apart like fresh bread. And Zoe manages to stop Becky from getting the victory. But then she gets laid out eventually, and then we got a manhandle slam off the top. 1, 2, 3. Becky wins. Big pop. Hell of a goddamn opening. I ain't doing it justice. A great goddamn match. If you watch nothing else on this show, watch this goddamn match. This was fucking great. And then Trish pushes Zoe too far. And Zoe says, "Oh, the stuff I did for you, fine, I'll lay you out," or whatever. I don't think it was good to Trish disrespected one of her elders like that, because Zoe was there for Bruno Sammartino's first match in Pittsburgh. She was actually there when Bruno first arrived in Pittsburgh. She was also there when Larry Zbyszko turned on his mentor and cracked him over the head with a chair. She was also there when the first Pittsburgh wrestling show happened. I'm done. It's just really bad that she saw George Hackenschmidt in person and has never been able to tell anybody because nobody else is alive that saw him. So anyway, and then here's Cena, big old pop. He's going to be the guest host. He is not the greatest of all time. Let's stop that. I don't even think Cena would call himself that. I don't know. And then he says, hey, I want to be the special guest referee for the next match. It's Miz and LA Knight. And then Miz comes out, and then they do bad comedy. Comedy that worked. The crowd was popping for it. And then LA Knight gets a big pop. LA Knight versus the Miz with Cena as a special guest referee. And oh, dear. This match went about 15 minutes and really should have been 9. I'm not saying rush through spots. They had some teases where who was going to collide with Cena, or Cena not showing favoritism, pulling Miz off out of the corner and then pulling Knight off out of the corner. That's fine. I get that. I do goddamn get that. We get a Dangerous Danny Davis reference. Then 2 DDTs by Miz. I know that Miz is not really good in the ring, but he gets the job done. And then we get Miz being, targeted because he tried to use the ropes to get the victory. So he's yelling at Cena. And then blunt force trauma, 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's it. By the way, this is right after they did a false finish that I actually thought was going to mean Knight was going to lose. Thankfully, he didn't. And then Cena sticks his hand up for LA Knight to shake, and he does. And okay, cool. That's fine. I can deal with that. And then Ray took on Theory for the U.S. Championship, and Ray won. So anyway, that's all I'm going to give to Theory. It is not that Theory can't work. Theory is bland, and I don't like Theory. I just simply don't. I have seen nothing from him in the past few years that he has been on WWE programming where I'm like, this kid is going to get any better. Or at least any more interesting. Tiffany then interrupts Becky's interview. Kathy looked great. And Tiffany channeled Lisa Simpson when she was trying to fit in. It's like, whatever. And we may get them at No Mercy. I hope we get them at No Mercy. Even though that's going to be a day where I'm going to be watching Collision live in Seattle. Maybe. Unless they cancel the goddamn show. Which they could. More on that when I review Collision. But then we get Zayn and Owens versus Judgment Day members Balor and Priest. Steel City Street Fight for the Tag Team Undisputed Championships of the goddamn Universal World Federation Alternate Reality. Okay. There are people that like this, and that's fine. I'm going to say this right now. If I hate Stadium Stampede and other matches that are just full of madness and full of weapons and full of bullshit, then I'm not going to like this. People were into it. There were cool moments, I guess, but the thing is, this wasn't wrestling. This wasn't wrestling at all. And after teasing something, between Zayn and Owens and the Profits on SmackDown, they basically just put that all up in smoke. I guess they're just giving up on the Profits. Because there were chairs, a pile of chairs. The terrible towel was thrown on the floor. Ooh. Y'all had Ben Roethlisberger as your goddamn QB, so I'm just going to say maybe don't act like that's the worst thing that's happened in Pittsburgh. Just saying. Looking the other way because of what he did. Look at Ben Roethlisberger in college, and not his college. I mean, you'll see what I mean. So, then Owens was in a Funk shirt. That was nice. That was cool. I like that. Funk number 1. You don't have number... No, I'm kidding. But then Owens was bleeding at some point. I don't know how the hell Owens bled. I was thinking about going back and rewatching, and I didn't want to relive this because I just hope that Owens is all right because he was bleeding quite a bit. And then they were wearing Penguins jerseys, and Dominic interfered because I am never allowed to have any happiness because Dominic appearing on the wrestling program means that we aren't taking this seriously because he can't wrestle and none of us will live long enough for him to get any good in the ring. Blue Thunderbomb on a pile of chairs for 2. This is garbage is what I noted. Slam onto a chair, a bunch of chairs sitting down. Why? You idiots. No wonder you can't walk well. And then Owens just, Owens tried to hit a swanton from an area in the crowd and hit more floor than table, taking out Dominic. That the table is second most wooden object involved in that goddamn thing. And then a chair to Sammy's head. There's trash cans. Maybe it was a trash can to Sammy's head. I don't fucking care anymore. JD McTuna interferes, and he gets laid out. And then Rhea shows up and spears Owens through the goddamn barricade. And then it looks like, oh my god, Sammy might actually get the victory after the hula kick, but no, Dominic hit him with the briefcase, and then Finn rolls over 1, 2, 3. New tag champions. To me, it was just as overbooked as any of the NWO nonsense from the height of WCW. And looking back on that stuff got old, and they ran with the Bloodline having a bunch of titles, and now they're going to run with the Judgment Day having a bunch of titles. Here's the difference. The Bloodline's the Bloodline, and Dominic's over here in the Judgment Day, so that brings it down automatically. The new tag champs and Pyro is at this point I pretty much checked out of the show. Grayson Waller effect with Cody. He has big news. Jey Uso's on Raw. Cool. They're just... Shout out to WrestleRant on Twitter. They are doing the exact same thing that they did with Rey and Dominic, separating them so they could build the Mania, which, yes, okay, I guess kind of works, except this whole Bloodline thing is long in the tooth. And boy, it just smells like a goddamn tooth. A tooth that has just stayed inside. Now it's leaking out and everything, and it's about to get viscous and visceral and very weird. So anyway, yeah, Jay kicked Waller. Despite the fact he's going to be on Raw. Granted, the brand split don't matter, but nevertheless. Raquel versus Rhea for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship of the Universal World. I already said some variation of that. And Rhea with China-inspired gear. That was nice. Raquel has a back. Not that you would know. And Raquel had a bad knee. Commentary only mentioned it about 50 times. And they tried. And Rhea probably herniated every disc nerve in her back and the backs of several others that were in her family tree to carry whatever is left of Raquel to anything passable. And look, Raquel and Rhea had better matches in the past. I don't know what's happened to Raquel. I don't even think it was her selling the knee. I just don't think she's very good. There was a bad alley-oop, stun gun type thing she did, and then the match just totally fell to shit. This would not end. I said, go home. Don't do this anymore. Rhea being dominant is fine. Raquel showing off her strength is fine, but this went twice as long as it needed to. And eventually Dominic interfered. I guess we don't call a DQ on that, because why would we in Riptide 1, 2, 3? So at least Rhea retained. Cena then shows up in a bow tie and a suit jacket and interviews Judgment Day and does comedy. And then Fastlane is going to be on October 7th. And then Rollins gets a big pop with his entrance. Nakamura gets manga-style stuff. And Great Muta is sitting in the front row. And I noted, oh, Nakamura's losing. He is absolutely losing. And he did. And he did. He focused on Seth's back. There was good psychology here. Do not misunderstand. It's for the secondary World Heavyweight Championship of the Flatland world, the Flat Earth community. There was good stuff here. Don't get me wrong. But it took about 20,000 years to get to it. Psychology is one thing, but when a couple matches already had gone way too long, and this match should have been going into the closing moments at the 3-hour mark, yes, Seth eventually fought back and fought out stuff and got a stomp, 1, 2, 3, and still champion. And that's all I have to say. I didn't even hate the show, but just... It was certainly payback. It was payback for me expecting anything other than that cage match to really deliver. I look forward to people being upset in the comments. That's fine. It's still my opinions. I'm not saying that you can have different ones. Let me know your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.